Have you ever noticed how certain people remain completely unshaken by criticism, insults, or disrespect, while others get emotionally hijacked by a single comment for days? What separates these two types of people isn't intelligence, it's not education, and it's definitely not luck. It's something the ancient samurai discovered 400 years ago, a mental framework so powerful that when you truly embody it, people will sense something different about you, something that commands respect simply by existing. Today you're going to learn the exact principle that makes you emotionally untouchable, and it has nothing to do with positive thinking or breathing exercises. It's something much deeper, something that rewires how your brain processes conflict itself. It's 11:47 at night. You're in the shower. The hot water falls on your shoulders, but your body is tense. Your jaw is clenched. Your mind isn't there with you. It traveled back to 3:12 in the afternoon. That phrase echoes again. You're too sensitive. You laughed it off in the moment. You made that face like you didn't care. But now alone, your chest tightens. Your heart beats faster. The scene replays like a cursed loop, except with different endings. In this version, you respond perfectly. In this one, you command respect. In this one, you humiliate them back. You know it's over. You know the other person is probably already asleep. But your body doesn't know. Your stomach churns. Your breathing becomes shallow. And the thought appears, automatic and venomous. Why does this affect me so much? It's not just today. It's always like this. A comment, a look, a strange tone in a text message. And boom, your mind is hijacked. Your energy is drained. Your mood is ruined by someone who isn't even present anymore. The deepest pain isn't the comment itself, it's realizing that any random person can enter your head without permission and control your entire emotional state for hours or even days. Think about your last week. How many times did someone's words or actions take up space in your mind long after the interaction ended? How many hours did you spend replaying conversations, imagining better responses, feeling that burning sensation in your chest? How many decisions did you delay because you were too busy processing someone else's opinion of you? This isn't a small problem. This is the silent killer of potential. While you're ruminating about what someone said, your competitor is executing. While you're nursing emotional wounds, opportunities are passing by. While you're proving your worth to people who don't matter, your actual goals are collecting dust. The cost isn't just emotional discomfort. It's your time, your energy, your focus, your power. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They think this is just how life works. You get hurt, you process it, you move on, until the next wound arrives. But what if I told you there's a completely different operating system available? One where attacks bounce off you like rain off a mountain. One where you perceive disrespect without absorbing it. One where your internal state is governed by you and you alone. Before I reveal exactly how this works, I want to invite you to do something. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment telling me, what's the last thing someone said that lived rent-free in your head for more than a day? Your answer might surprise you, and it helps this content reach more people who need to hear it. Thank you. Now let me show you what changed everything for a group of warriors who couldn't afford to take things personally, because if they did, they died. 4 centuries ago in feudal Japan, there was a young samurai in training. Let's call him what he was, inexperienced and reactive. During a sparring session, an older student mocked his technique in front of everyone. The young samurai's face flushed red. His grip on the wooden sword tightened. His breathing became irregular. He charged forward with pure emotion, swinging wildly, trying to prove himself. He was disarmed in 3 seconds. His master didn't yell. He didn't lecture. He simply said 6 words that would echo through centuries. You died the moment you reacted. The young samurai was confused. But I'm still standing. The master shook his head. No. The instant his words entered your heart and changed your state, you handed him your sword. He didn't defeat you with skill. He defeated you with a sentence, and you gave him permission. This is the birth of a concept that would become central to samurai philosophy. Mushin, the mind without mind, the state of mental clarity where you act without the interference of ego. But here's what most people misunderstand about this concept. It's not about becoming emotionless. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about creating a gap between stimulus and response, a gap where your power lives. In Japanese, mushin is written with two characters. Mu, meaning nothing or void, and shin, meaning heart or mind. Together, they represent a mind that perceives everything but clings to nothing. Imagine a perfectly clean mirror. When you stand in front of it, it shows your reflection. When you walk away, the mirror doesn't hold your image. It doesn't carry the weight of what it reflected. It simply returns to clarity, ready for the next moment. This is mushin. You see the insult. You hear the criticism. You notice the disrespect. But you don't become it. You don't carry it. You don't let it reshape your internal landscape. Now here's where it gets interesting. Researchers at Stanford's neuroscience department discovered something that validates exactly what these warriors knew. When you label an emotion without judgment, just name it, the activity in your amygdala, the brain's fear and reactivity center, decreases by up to 40%. They called this affect labeling. The samurai called it mushin. When someone criticizes you and you think, I'm feeling anger rising, I'm noticing defensiveness, I'm sensing my ego activating, something miraculous happens. The emotion loses its grip. Why? Because the part of your brain doing the observing, your prefrontal cortex, is different from the part feeling the emotion. When you activate the observer, you create distance. And in that distance, you find freedom. You're no longer the emotion. You're the one watching it. And what you watch, you can choose not to follow. But mushin alone isn't enough. Because perception without stability is just awareness of your own shaking. This is where the second principle enters. Fudoshin, the immovable mind. Written with three characters. Fu, meaning not, do, meaning move, and shin, heart or mind. The mind that does not move. Think of a massive boulder in the middle of a flooding river. The water crashes against it with tremendous force. The current tries to push it downstream. But the boulder doesn't budge, not because it's resisting, but because its foundation is so deep that external forces simply can't displace it. This is Fudoshin. When criticism comes, when disrespect arrives, when someone tries to provoke you, your internal state doesn't shift. Not because you're suppressing the feeling, but because your sense of self isn't dependent on their opinion. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman who won over 60 duels and never lost once, wrote something that captures this perfectly. The mind that moves is the first to fall. If your opponent can move your mind with words, they've already won. If your boss can destabilize you with a comment, they control you. If a stranger's opinion can ruin your day, you're not free. You're a puppet, and everyone else is holding the strings. A professor of psychology at Harvard University studied individuals with high emotional resilience over a 20-year period and found something fascinating. People who don't personalize external stimuli show cortisol levels 23% lower in social environments. Lower cortisol means less stress, better decision-making, longer lifespan, and greater mental clarity. In other words, not taking things personally isn't just a nice idea. It's a biological advantage. It's the difference between living in a constant state of threat response and living in a state of calm readiness. Here's what happened to someone who applied this. A professional in his early 30s, let's keep him universal. Someone who worked in a high-pressure environment. This person used to lie awake replaying confrontations. A colleague made a sarcastic comment in a meeting at 2 in the afternoon. By 11 at night, this person was still mentally crafting the perfect comeback, still feeling that heat in the chest, still imagining scenarios where they came out on top. The cost? Terrible sleep, low energy the next day, decreased focus, resentment building like plaque in an artery. Then this person discovered mushin and fudoshin, not as abstract philosophy, but as a practical protocol. The next time a colleague made a cutting remark, something different happened. The person felt the initial spike, noticed it, named it. I'm feeling attacked. I'm noticing defensiveness rising. Then, nothing. The person didn't suppress it, didn't pretend it didn't hurt, simply observed it without becoming it. The meeting continued. The person contributed valuable ideas. By 6 in the evening, the incident was forgotten, not because it didn't matter, but because it was processed in real time and released. No rumination, no replay, no energy drain. Take a moment right now and ask yourself honestly, how many hours did you lose last week ruminating over something someone said or did? Drop your answer in the comments, just the number. Sometimes writing it out creates the shift you need, because once you see the cost in black and white, you can't unsee it. But here's where most people get stuck. They understand Mushin intellectually. They grasp Fudoshin conceptually. But when the moment arrives, when someone disrespects them in real time, they still react. Why? Because they're missing the third element. Mai. Mai literally means the space between. In swordsmanship, it refers to the precise distance between two blades. Too close, you get cut. Too far, you can't strike. The perfect distance gives you options. In emotional combat, Mai is the gap between stimulus and response. It's the pause that gives you power. Most people live with zero Mai. Someone says something, they react instantly. Someone sends a passive-aggressive text, they fire back immediately. Someone cuts them off in traffic, they honk and curse within a second. Zero gap equals zero choice equals zero power. Creating Mai is simple but not easy. When a trigger arrives, instead of immediately responding, you create a 10-second delay. That's it, 10 seconds. In those 10 seconds, you activate Mushin. You notice the emotion. You name it. You observe it. You activate Fudoshin. You remember your foundation. You reconnect with your deeper stability. And from that place, you choose your response. Sometimes the response is to address it directly. Sometimes it's to ignore it completely. Sometimes it's to ask a clarifying question. But the key is, you choose. You're not reacting. You're responding. And the difference between reaction and response is the difference between being controlled and being in control. A researcher studying organizational psychology at Wharton Business School tracked executives over a 5-year period and discovered that those who consistently paused before responding to challenging feedback were promoted 31% more often than those who reacted immediately. Why? Because people who can stay composed under pressure are trusted with bigger responsibilities. They don't create unnecessary drama. They don't escalate conflicts. They solve problems instead of multiplying them. This isn't about being passive. This isn't about accepting disrespect. This is about choosing your battles from a place of power instead of reacting from a place of wound. Now let me give you the exact protocol. When someone says or does something that triggers you, this is what you do. Step 1. Notice the physical sensation. Where do you feel it? Chest? Throat? Stomach? Shoulders? Just notice. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it. Just observe. Step 2. Name the emotion. Out loud if possible, silently if necessary. I'm feeling disrespected. I'm noticing anger. I'm sensing my ego activating. The moment you name it, you create separation. Step 3. Release the physical tension. Drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Take one deep breath. Not 3, not 10, just 1. This signals to your nervous system that you're safe. Step 4. Ask yourself one question. Does this require a response? Not, does this deserve a response? Does this require one? If someone insults you and walks away, no response required. If someone criticizes your work in front of your boss, response required, but not an emotional one. Step 5. If response is required, delay it by 10 seconds minimum. If it's a text, wait 10 minutes. If it's an email, wait 10 hours. From that gap, craft your response. Make it precise, make it clear. Make it devastating if necessary, but make it from power, not from pain. Here's what happens when you do this consistently. Within the first week, you notice something strange. The things that used to ruin your entire day barely register anymore. Not because they stopped happening, but because you stopped giving them real estate in your mind. Within the first month, people start treating you differently. They stop trying to provoke you because it doesn't work anymore. There's no fun in pushing someone who doesn't push back emotionally. Within 3 months, you realize something profound. You have more energy than you've had in years. Why? Because you're not bleeding energy through 1,000 tiny emotional wounds anymore. You're not spending hours replaying conversations. You're not carrying grudges. You're not nursing resentments. You're simply present with what is and moving forward with what matters. A team of neuroscientists at UCLA's Mindfulness Awareness Research Center measured the cognitive load of chronic emotional reactivity and found that it consumes up to 30% of your daily mental energy. 30%. That's almost a third of your processing power spent on rumination, resentment, and replay. Imagine getting that back. Imagine redirecting that energy toward your actual goals, toward the people you love, toward the work that matters. This is what becomes possible when you stop taking things personally. Let me tell you about 3 people who transformed through this practice. First, someone in their late 20s working as a financial analyst. Used to spend entire evenings upset about feedback from managers. After learning Mushin, this person received harsh criticism in a meeting at 10 in the morning, acknowledged it without defense, implemented the valid points, discarded the rest, and was working on a new project by noon. Same day. No emotional hangover. Second, someone in their mid-30s managing a team. Had a direct report who constantly challenged their authority publicly. Before Fedoshin, this person would go home angry, vent to their partner, lose sleep. After Fedoshin, this person addressed it once, calmly and directly, set clear boundaries, and moved on. The behavior stopped within a week. Third, someone in their early 40s running their own business. A major client went silent after months of collaboration. Before this person would spiral into paranoia, send desperate follow-up messages, create stories about what went wrong. After this person sent one professional check-in, continued working on other projects, and let it go. The client returned 2 weeks later with a new contract. The difference? No neediness, no desperation, just calm professionalism. These aren't special people. They're not genetically gifted with emotional control. They simply applied a framework that's been tested for 400 years. And here's what nobody tells you about this path. The hardest part isn't learning the concepts. The hardest part is accepting that most of your suffering has been self-inflicted. That comment that ruined your week? It was 10 words. 10 words that you then repeated to yourself 10,000 times. That look that made you doubt yourself? It lasted 2 seconds. 2 seconds that you then replayed for 2 days. The external trigger is almost never the problem. The problem is what you do with it after it arrives. The problem is that you pick it up, carry it around, feed it, give it a home in your mind, and let it grow until it's bigger than the original event. But here's the liberation. If you created the suffering by replaying it, you can end the suffering by releasing it. This is the deepest truth of Mushin. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the space in which they appear. And just like clouds pass through the sky without staining it, emotions can pass through you without defining you. Miyamoto Musashi spent the last years of his life in a cave writing. He had no wealth, he had no followers, he had no political power, but he had something most people never find: complete inner freedom. He wrote, "I regret nothing. I fear nothing. I desire nothing. This is the ultimate state, not because you become cold or detached, but because you become free. Free from the need for approval. Free from the fear of criticism. Free from the prison of other people's opinions. And here's the final paradox. The less personally you take things, the more respect you command. When people realize they can't manipulate your emotional state, they start treating you differently. They stop playing games because games don't work on you. They stop testing you because you've already proven you're unshakable. They stop trying to diminish you because your sense of self isn't based on their validation. You become like that boulder in the river. The water keeps flowing, the current keeps pushing, but you remain exactly where you are, not because you're rigid, but because you're rooted. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. Not because you don't care, but because you care about the right things. So here's my invitation to you. For the next 7 days, practice the protocol I gave you. When someone triggers you, don't react automatically. Notice, name, release, ask, delay, respond. That's it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to catch yourself once a day, then twice a day, then 5 times a day. Each time you do this, you're rewiring your brain, you're building new neural pathways, you're becoming someone who can't be emotionally hijacked. And here's what you'll discover. The strength was always there. You just needed to stop leaking it through 1,000 tiny reactions. The peace was always available. You just needed to stop disturbing it with unnecessary rumination. The power was always yours. You just needed to stop giving it away to people who don't deserve it. If this video challenged the way you see emotional strength, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Leave a like if you found value here, and tell me in the comments, what's the first situation where you're going to apply this? Not tomorrow, not next week, but the very next time it happens. Remember, knowledge without action is just entertainment. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And remember this, the warrior doesn't harden the heart, the warrior empties it. Because an empty cup can be filled with anything, but a cup already full of resentment has no room for peace.